Hello and welcome to the talk about the NHS course funding at Bangor University. So for NHS courses such as nursing, midwifery and radiography, there are two options for you to choose from for funding for these courses. So the first option, and the option I'm going to be talking to you today about, is a fully funded course from the NHS Wales. Now this is available if a student agrees to work for the NHS in Wales for 2 years after graduating, and what this means is there are no fees for this course, and I'll be talking to you about it in a bit more detail later on. The other option is the second option, which is your regional student funding organisation. So as you would apply for student finance for any other course. So as I've already explained, I'll be talking to you today about the option one, which is the NHS funding option. This is when the NHS in Wales pays for all of your tuition fees whilst you're studying at university. So the students receive a non-means tested £1,000 grant each academic year, and you can also apply for a means tested bursary to help with your finances. There is also additional financial support for things such as placement costs, disabled students, students with dependent children, and students with adult dependents too. In addition to NHS Wales paying for your tuition fees, you may also be eligible for a means-tested NHS bursary. So the basic bursary, you may be eligible for up to £2,643 a year if you're living away from home, so for example in halls or in private rented accommodation, or you may be eligible for up to £2,207 a year if you're living at the parental home. There's also a bursary for additional weeks, so for example up to £84 a week if you're living away from home, and up to £56 a week if you're still living at home with your parents. In addition to the NHS means tested bursary available to help with living costs, there is also additional funding available too. So any students undertaking such as a nursing, midwifery or radiography course, you can also apply for a reduced maintenance loan via your student finance organisation. So for example, for any English student, you can apply for up to £2,534 of that reduced maintenance loan if you're coming to us at Bangor. For any Welsh domiciled students, you could apply for up to £4,675 a year if you're living elsewhere, and by the term elsewhere what we mean is living in our halls of residence, for example, or in private rented accommodation. And if you're local and if you decide to live with your parents at home, you could be eligible for up to £3,895 a year. Now, with this additional funding, you will have to apply to the organisation which represents you pre-university. So for UK students, the funding organisation is devolved into 4 nations. So for example, Student Finance Wales, Student Finance England, Student Finance Northern Ireland, and the Scottish Award Agency for Scotland. So you would apply for your reduced maintenance loan to the funding organisation which represents you pre-university. So for example, if you're currently residing in England, you would apply to Student Finance England. Likewise, if you currently already live in Wales, you would apply through Student Finance Wales. So where to apply? So the application forms are completed online via the Bursary Online Support System, which is commonly known as BOSS, and then your student finance organisation for the reduced maintenance loan. And we do suggest that evidence should be sent either special or recorded delivery as soon as possible to the address provided, and at least 2 months before the course start date. So what you will need are things like proof of ID, proof of household income and expenditure, proof of address, and any other requested information. So to think about budgeting and to think about your income, it's really important that you compare both the NHS and the Student Finance Awards to decide which option suits you and your circumstances best. So for example, consider the NHS bursaries and the grants available. Then also consider the student finance. So for example, if you go down the route where you do pay your own tuition fees and then you have the maintenance loans, the grants and other allowances, any savings you might have, your part-time earnings, for example, and if you have welfare benefits awards, please do check your entitlement pre-entry. And also it's good to consider any parental or family support that is available too. So moving on to receiving your funding, if we have a look at the first table, which is when your student finance comes in for your reduced maintenance loan and your grant, This will be paid in 3 instalments. So for those of you starting in September, your first instalment will be late September, second in January, and third after Easter. For those of you starting in April, the first instalment will be mid-April, second late September, and third in January. And then if we have a look at the NHS bursary and grant, well, these are paid in 12 instalments. And for those of you starting in September, the first instalment will be the 1st of November. And for those of you starting in April, the first instalment of these will be in the 1st of May. So that's the end of the presentation today about the NHS course funding options for studying courses such as nursing, midwifery and radiography at Bangor. I hope that you've enjoyed the session. Should you have any more questions, please do feel free to get in contact with us at marketing@bangor.ac.uk, or please do contact the Money Support Unit where the address is just here. So it's moneysupport@bangor.ac.uk, or pick up the phone to give us a quick call. Best of luck with your application, and we do hope to see you here very soon.